All right, so get ready because today we're going to deep dive into the power of love, but not the kind you might expect.
Mm.
We're talking about love as a form of intelligence,
Hmm.
a way of like seeing the world and understanding it that goes way beyond just, emotions.
Interesting.
Our guide for this exploration are excerpts from The Power of Love Seeing Through the Lens of Truth
Okay.
by Waxhira, founder of the Sacred Atlantean Brotherhood.
It's fascinating how Wakisura really challenges this idea that logic and reason are somehow superior to emotions. Like,
Yeah.
he totally flips the script, right?
Yeah.
Argues that love, like in its purest form, actually enhances our ability to perceive reality more clearly.
Okay, I'm intrigued. I'm also a little skeptical.
Right.
I mean, how often have we heard, follow your head, not your heart?
Hmm.
Help me understand this.
Yeah.
How does love become this powerful lens for truth?
Well, Waxira's core concept is that love dissolves the biases that cloud our judgment. Think about it. We all have like preconceived notions, fears, and desires that color how we see the world.
Uh-huh.
And love kind of cuts through all that noise. It allows us to see people and situations with more clarity.
Almost like noise-canceling headphones, but for your mind,
Hmm.
for life.
Exactly.
I can see how that could be helpful, especially when, like, dealing with difficult people or
Yeah.
just really complex situations.
Yeah.
But what about in a practical sense?
Yeah.
How does this play out, like, in the real world?
Well, the text uses a really interesting example from the workplace.
Okay.
Waxira points to the fact that people who genuinely love their work tend to be more successful.
Hmm.
It's not just about passion, right?
Right.
It's about this deeper engagement and insight. They see the bigger picture, they connect with their tasks on a deeper level.
Yeah.
They often come up with these innovative solutions that others might miss.
That makes sense. When you're truly invested in something, you're more likely to see those nuances and possibilities.
Yeah.
But what about romantic love? I struggle with this idea of love as clear thinking when it comes to relationships.
Sure.
Doesn't romantic love, like, often make us blind to flaws?
You've hit on a key point. Romantic love can definitely, make us overlook things.
Yeah.
But Waxira suggests this isn't necessarily a bad thing.
Oh, okay.
He argues that this blindness, so to speak, can actually help us see deeper truths about ourselves and our needs.
So it's not about, like, ignoring red flags,
Right.
but rather understanding what those red flags might be telling us about our own desires and insecurities.
Exactly. And he makes this really fascinating comparison to a mother's unconditional love for her child.
Mm-hmm.
It's a love that often sees beyond the surface, right? Accepting them for who they are, even with their flaws.
Oh, wow.
This acceptance allows the child to flourish.
That's a powerful example.
Yeah.
Suggests that this kind of love creates a space for growth and authenticity.
Yeah.
But Waxira goes even further, right? He says love isn't just this solo act. It brings empathy and compassion along for the ride.
Yep.
What's the connection there?
Well, love, according to Waxira, it fuels both empathy and compassion.
Okay.
It allows us to step outside of ourselves and genuinely understand another person's experience.
Uh-huh.
And that understanding in turn fuels compassion, which motivates us to act, to help, to make a difference.
So it's not enough to just feel love.
Mm.
We have to let those feelings guide our actions.
Precisely. Waxira sees empathy and compassion as essential, not just for personal relationships, but also for building strong, supportive communities.
This is all starting to make a lot of sense. But I have to admit, the idea of love in the boardroom still feels a bit out there to me.
Yeah.
Help me wrap my head around that. How does love translate to the business world?
Well, it might seem counterintuitive, right?
Yeah.
But Waxira argues that approaching business with a sense of love can actually be a powerful strategy.
Okay.
Think about it. Love often drives us to understand others' needs deeply. In a business context, that translates to really understanding your customers, their desires, their pain points.
So it's not just about being nice. It's about using love as a tool to gain a deeper understanding of your market,
Exactly.
which can lead to innovation and just better business decisions.
Exactly. And it goes beyond just customers, too.
Right.
Like, a love-driven approach can foster stronger teams, more effective leadership, and even help you, spot opportunities that others miss.
Yeah.
Because they're not looking through that lens of love.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this love as intelligence thing can be practical, but let's go back to the source for a minute.
Sure.
How does Waxhira describe this intelligence? Is this like some kind of mystical sixth sense?
He actually calls it the highest form of intelligence.
Hmm.
And what's interesting is he sees it as more than just intellectual capacity or book smarts.
Yeah.
It encompasses intuition, emotional intelligence, and even what he calls spiritual connection.
Okay, hold on. Let's unpack that a little.
Okay.
What does he mean by spiritual connection?
This is where Waxira's ideas get really intriguing. He believes that when we operate from a place of love, we tap into a deeper understanding of our interconnectedness with everything around us.
Hmm.
It's not just about seeing the world in a new way, it's about feeling a sense of unity and belonging.
So it's almost like love expands our awareness beyond our individual selves to see the bigger picture,
Yes.
how our actions impact others, and how we're all part of something larger.
Exactly. And that awareness, according to Waxira, leads to more responsible and purpose-driven choices.
Okay.
We start asking ourselves, how can my actions contribute to the greater good?
Yeah.
And that's where love becomes a force for positive change in the world.
All right, this is all incredibly fascinating, but before we get, too carried away with the philosophical implications,
Yeah.
let's bring it back down to earth. How do we actually cultivate this love-driven intelligence in our own lives?
Right.
Is this something we're born with, or can we learn to love more deeply?
That's a great question, and it's one we'll explore in more detail in the next part of our deep dive. But I can tell you this. Waxira believes that everyone has the potential to develop this kind of intelligence, and he offers some practical steps for doing so.
Okay. I'm definitely ready to dive into those practical steps, but for now, let's take a moment to just let all of this sink in. We've covered a lot of ground, from the power of love to dissolve biases to its potential in the business world. And we've just, scratched the surface of this concept of spiritual connection. There's so much more to explore.
Yeah, for sure.
So we've established that love, according to Waxira, is this incredible force for clarity and connection and even success.
Right.
But how do we actually tap into that?
Yeah.
Is this something we're born with? Or can we actually learn to love more deeply, to see the world through this lens of love more consistently?
Waxira, thankfully, doesn't just leave us hanging with just like lofty concepts.
Right.
He actually provides some really practical guidance in the text. One of the key things he emphasizes is mindfulness,
Okay.
being present in the moment and paying attention to our thoughts and feelings.
Okay, that makes sense.
Hmm.
So it's about being aware of those like default reactions, those moments when we judge someone or react out of like fear or anger.
Exactly. Instead of just getting swept away by those like negative emotions, mindfulness allows us to pause and choose a different response.
Okay.
Waxira calls it seeing with the eyes of love.
Okay, I love that phrase, but I need a little more than a poetic image here.
Yeah.
What does seeing with the eyes of love actually look like in practice?
Okay, imagine this. You're dealing with a difficult coworker, someone who constantly rubs you the wrong way.
Yeah. I know the type.
Seeing with the eyes of love doesn't mean ignoring their annoying habits.
Right.
It's about making a conscious effort to look for the good in them. To remember that they, like everyone else, are complex human beings, right? With their own struggles and insecurities.
So instead of just focusing on their, flaws, we're trying to understand the why behind their behavior.
Yeah.
We're trying to see their humanity.
Yes, and Waxira believes that every single person has something valuable to offer, even if it's not immediately apparent. When we choose to see the good, even in challenging situations, it can completely shift our perception.
Okay.
We start to see opportunities for connection and understanding instead of just conflict.
That's a really powerful idea. But what about those times when we're just feeling, unloving?
Right.
Can you really force yourself to love someone or something you don't, naturally connect with?
That's where the practice of compassion comes in. It's not about forcing emotions, right?
Yeah.
But rather about cultivating an attitude of kindness and understanding, even towards those who might challenge us.
So it's about recognizing that everyone is on their own journey and deserves compassion.
Exactly. And remember, this applies to ourselves as well.
Oh, right.
We need to practice self-compassion.
Yeah.
Especially when we make mistakes or fall short of our own expectations. It's about treating ourselves with the same kindness and understanding we would offer a dear friend.
This is so important.
Yeah.
We can be incredibly hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
Holding on to past mistakes and beating ourselves up for not being perfect.
Yeah.
But if we can learn to forgive ourselves, to see our own humanity, it becomes so much easier to extend that same compassion to others.
You're absolutely right. Waxira is very clear about the importance of forgiveness,
Okay.
both for ourselves and for others.
Yeah.
Holding on to anger and resentment just weighs us down.
But isn't there a danger in forgiving too easily?
Yeah,
What about, accountability?
that's a valid concern. Forgiveness doesn't mean condoning harmful actions or letting people off the hook.
Right.
It's about releasing those negative emotions that are holding us captive so that we can move forward.
Yeah.
Accountability is still important, but it can be addressed separately from forgiveness.
So forgiveness is more about, like, our own internal state,
Yeah.
about freeing ourselves from the burden of anger and resentment.
Exactly. It's about choosing to see ourselves and others with compassion, understanding that we all make mistakes and that we're all capable of growth and change.
This all sounds very aspirational,
Yep.
but how do we actually put these ideas into practice? Like, it can feel kind of overwhelming to think about shifting our entire perspective on the world.
You're right. It's not about overnight transformation. Waxira emphasizes that this is a daily practice,
Hmm.
a journey of continually choosing to approach life with more kindness, understanding, and empathy.
Yeah.
He suggests starting with small, manageable steps.
So instead of trying to love, like, everyone and everything all at once, we can focus on cultivating those qualities in our interactions with, like, the people we encounter daily.
Exactly. Notice those moments when you're judging or reacting negatively.
Mm-hmm.
Pause, take a breath, and ask yourself, how would love approach this situation?
It's about consciously putting on those, like, love goggles,
Yeah.
seeing the situation through a different lens.
Yeah.
But what if those goggles keep slipping off? How do we stay committed to this practice, especially when life gets tough?
Waxira actually offers a really beautiful analogy in the text.
He compares cultivating love to tending a garden.
Okay, I'm liking this. Tell me more.
Just like a garden needs consistent care, watering, weeding, nurturing love needs to be cultivated as well.
Yeah.
There will be days when the weeds seem to grow faster than the flowers.
Mm-hmm.
There will be times when you feel discouraged or doubt your progress.
But the key is to keep showing up, to keep tending the garden, even when it feels difficult.
Exactly. And just like a garden rewards us with beauty and abundance, so too does the practice of love.
Yeah.
It might not always be easy, but the rewards are immeasurable.
So we're talking about a shift in mindset here, right? From seeing the world as a place of scarcity and competition to seeing it as a place of abundance and connection.
You got it. And this shift in perspective is ultimately what allows us to tap into that higher intelligence that Waxira describes.
Okay.
It's about seeing those connections, those opportunities, those possibilities that we might have missed before because we were looking through the wrong lens. It's about choosing to believe in the best of humanity, even when things feel dark or difficult.
And as we cultivate this love-driven intelligence, we not only transform ourselves, but we also contribute to a more compassionate and interconnected world.
This is all so inspiring. But before we get carried away with, changing the world, let's bring it back to the individual level.
Yeah.
What are some specific strategies we can use to actually put this love as intelligence into action in our daily lives? So we've been talking about some pretty profound concepts,
Yeah.
mindfulness, compassion, forgiveness.
Right.
But I'm eager to get, like, even more practical.
Yeah.
What are some tangible things we can do, like each day, to actually strengthen this love as the intelligence muscle?
Waxira offers some really concrete techniques in his book.
Okay.
One that really stands out is what he calls acts of conscious loving.
Okay, that sounds intriguing. What exactly does that entail?
It's about making a deliberate choice, right? To bring more love into every interaction,
Okay.
no matter how small. It could be as simple as offering a genuine compliment to a stranger,
Uh-huh.
or truly listening to a friend who's, going through a tough time, or even just sending a loving thought to someone who's struggling.
So it's about being intentional with our words and actions, making sure they're aligned with this idea of love as like a guiding principle.
Precisely. And it's not about grand gestures or trying to change the world overnight.
Right.
It's about those small everyday moments
Yeah.
where we have the opportunity to choose love over indifference, kindness over judgment.
I love that. It reminds me of that saying, be the change you want to see in the world. It starts with us, with our own choices and behaviors.
Yeah.
But what about those situations where we're dealing with conflict or hurt? How does love as intelligence guide us through those challenges?
Waxira emphasizes the importance of what he calls radical understanding.
Oh, okay. Now that sounds intense. What does radical understanding involve?
It's about going beyond just seeing the other person's perspective. It's about making a genuine effort to understand the root causes of their behavior, the pain, the fear, the unmet needs that might be driving them.
So it's about digging deeper, going beyond the surface level to see the humanity beneath the actions.
Exactly. And this can be incredibly challenging, especially when we've been hurt or wronged.
Yeah,
But Waxhira argues that, true healing and reconciliation, it can only occur when we're willing to extend this level of understanding.
that makes sense. It's about choosing empathy over judgment,
Hmm.
even when it's difficult. But how do we know when to set boundaries?
Yeah.
When is it appropriate to walk away from a situation that's causing us harm?
Waxhira is very clear that love as intelligence doesn't mean being a doormat
Right.
or tolerating abuse. In fact, he sees setting healthy boundaries as an act of self-love.
Okay.
It's about honoring our own needs and well-being while still maintaining compassion for the other person.
So it's about finding that balance between compassion and self-preservation.
Precisely. And it's not always easy to navigate those, complex dynamics.
Yeah.
Sometimes the most loving action is to step away from a situation to create space for healing and growth.
This has been such an insightful exploration of love as intelligence. We've
Mhm.
covered so much ground from, the practical techniques to the profound philosophical implications.
Mhm.
What would you say is the most important takeaway for our listeners?
I think the key takeaway is that this isn't some mystical ability that's reserved for a select few.
Right.
It's a choice we can all make every single day
Yeah.
to approach life with more love, understanding, and compassion.
So it's not about achieving some kind of perfect state of love,
Right?
but rather about embracing this ongoing journey of growth and evolution.
Exactly. And as we cultivate this love as intelligence, we not only transform our own lives, but we also contribute to a more loving and interconnected world.
I think Wasir would be proud of this deep dive.
I think so too.
We've gone, beyond just skimming the surface and really explored the depths of this powerful concept.
Yeah.
And now it's time for our listeners to take the reins.
Yes, we've provided the map, but the real journey begins with each individual step.
So as you go about your week, I encourage you to consider how approaching your work, your relationships, even your challenges with more love might shift your perspective.
Yeah.
It's a question worth pondering and perhaps a world worth creating.
Indeed, it's a world where love isn't just a feeling, but a powerful force for positive change. And that's a world I think we can all get behind.